Hey everyone, this is Chaitali and I'm back today for the third and final segment of the crafty bozy tool that I have been showing you for the past 2 days. So, one of the most important ingredients for making bows, apart from the tool of course, was ribbon. And when I started this series, you saw in the very first one that I was a complete bow beginner. So obviously I was also a complete ribbon beginner, and I had no idea what ribbon to use for making bows. Which is why I started with researching what different ribbons are out there and which of them make the best bows. So I'm here to share my findings with you all today, and take it with a pinch of salt because I'm not an expert, but I think what I can tell you really is which ribbons are best for beginner bow makers. When you're an expert, you probably can work with most different ribbons out there, but as a beginner, you want some quick successes. So let's take a look at what ribbons are the best for making bows, shall we? So let me begin by telling you about the ribbon that I found easiest to work with, and that is satin ribbons. So here is my satin ribbon bow. Here it is. And you can see how easy it was to make such a tiny bow. Remember, I am a beginner, and this bow has 2 loops in it. It's also very nicely angled. I could cut the fishtail, and it's so tiny. So it was really easy to work with the satin ribbon, and especially the thin satin ribbon, and make this kind of a bow. The next type is again satin, but I'm going to go a little higher on the broadness chain this time. So this is the second type. Here it is. You can see it. There you go. Oops. There. So this is the second one, and you can see that I have been able to do a great job with it as well. One of the things I had to do was press it down really flat in a book after making it. So that really helped in making a great bow. But I was still able to make double loops with it. I was still able to do a pretty good small size bow, and it looks very cute. Although this tail just wants to come up, but when I put it down with a glue dot, I promise you they both will stay down like this. So this is the second type, a slightly larger satin ribbon. Okay, let's keep moving on, moving up the chain. So the next one is an even thicker satin ribbon, and this is how my bow with it looks like. So this ribbon I found a little difficult to work with, mainly because this knot, if you don't secure it tightly, keeps coming off. I would probably not be able to, or not want to, put these tails down in this bow. If I'm putting this on a card, I'm going to just put these tails on the sides this way, just the way they are here. I'm going to just put them on the side and maybe put this on as an angled bow or something like that. But I would definitely not try to bring the tails down in this bow. So this was a little bit more difficult to work with. I was still able to make the double loops. I was still able to tie it up pretty nicely, and it looks fairly neat. So this is the third one. The fourth one is one that I actually really enjoyed working with. It gave a completely different look from what the other three, the satin ribbons that I showed you so far. So this one is called French wire, and the reason for that is on the edges of this ribbon there is wire, so it remains stiff, and this is the bow I made with it. I trimmed off the tails completely. Let me hold a white piece of cardstock for you to see. So I trimmed off the tails completely when I made this bow, and this is something that I would put on maybe the edge of a flower pot, or on top of a present, or even as a hair bow. There, looks really cute. So it makes a very nice and stiff bow, and this is the kind of ribbon you would use for wrapping your presents. So this is the next one, the French ribbon bow. Okay, let's take a look at organza ribbon. Organza again was super easy to work with. It made a textbook bow. It made like something that you would imagine when you talk about bows. I also have 3 loops in this one. It was perfect. It just is perfect. I could put this in with a single glue dot directly on my card and it would look great. So organza was definitely very easy to work with. Let me take a black background and show it to you. There you go. So organza. Let's move on. The next one is what is called a metallic mesh ribbon. And basically this is made of metal wires. It's a really stiff ribbon, but it's still a ribbon, so it's pretty flexible. It's not stiff in the sense of you cannot bend it at all. And that's the one I actually used yesterday in my bowathon. So this is the bow all trimmed out and ready to be put on a card that I made with it. And if you saw my card yesterday, I used this bow on my card as well there. So this ribbon makes a very stiff textbook bow again. It's also very fast to work with. I tried doing double, triple loops with this, and I could do them, but they didn't really look very neat. So it was best for making this kind of a single loop bow, exactly the kind that you'd put on holiday cards, and you get it in gold or silver. So wedding, holidays, this would be a perfect bow to go on all of those. So this is the next one. This is called metallic mesh. And then the next is a cotton ribbon. Now cotton ribbons come in a variety of sizes. They also come in different patterns. So I could make a really nice patterned bow here. This one. So it was really easy to make a very nice patterned bow with the cotton ribbon. And I was able to make double loop. I was able to make different sizes, so small, medium, large, all work really well. And it looks very neat as well. So cotton ribbons are right up there with satin ribbons, and you can make pretty good bows with it. So we talked a lot about ribbons, which I was successfully able to make bows with, some better than others. Let's talk about the ribbons that I could not make bows with. Again, as a beginner, maybe I'm missing some things, but if you're a beginner like me, then I would suggest staying away from these ribbons to start with. So the ribbons that I found really hard to work with was grosgrain ribbon, and this is a thicker grosgrain ribbon. It was pretty hard to tie a neat bow with this. I could tie some bows with it, but my definition of a bow is something like this. So it was something like this. So it was very difficult to get that same look with this ribbon, and I would say stay away from grosgrain when you're getting started. Although I did find that if you used thin grosgrain ribbon, you could get a type of bow. And this is the type of bow you would get with a thin grosgrain ribbon. Now I wouldn't be able to make tails out of this bow. I wouldn't even suggest it. It won't look so neat. But what I think I would do on a card if I used it this way is just keep the bow as is and use these ends to go right around the card, and keep the bow with just the loops as the focal point on your card. So that is a good use of grosgrain, and you can use thin grosgrain for bows like this. But the thick one I would suggest not using as a beginner. And then the last ribbon that I found very difficult to work with, I was not able to make a bow of any kind, is very thick satin ribbon. Now this is really great for presents. It looks great on them, but I had 2 issues when making the bow. The first one is it just didn't look neat to me. It was completely messy, and some loops were bigger than others, and it didn't look great to me. The second problem was it kept coming undone. So possibly after making the bow, maybe you should stitch in the middle and make that stable. But overall, I just didn't like the look of the bows that came with a very thick ribbon. So probably what I would do is I would use this to wrap my present, but I would use a coordinating French wire ribbon to make a bow that goes on top of it. For example, these two, they go really well together. They look well. They look nice. So that's what I would do. I would wrap my present with this ribbon because it looks really good for wrapping a present, but I would just tape it off at the top and then add a bow made of French wire on top of it. So I hope you got some information today about the different types of ribbons, and that basically completes your bow making course because now you have the tool, you know how to use it, you know everything there's to know about different ribbons to use, and you are ready to get started on making bows. So please do share with me if you make any creations using the tool and with Donna, the creator of the tool. I'm sure she would love to see what you make with it. And thank you so much for watching. Also, if you really enjoyed this series, please like my videos and please subscribe to my YouTube channel because I plan to make a way more such series in future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you another time for a different series or a different video. Thank you. See ya.